Hello, my name is Dawn Carter, and I am the Executive Director for the Pride Center of Edmonton. And welcome to all our guests today. I'm really excited. This is our first Black History Month event to go live for the Pride Center of Edmonton. And I'm very excited, and our guest is very excited too. I am very excited to introduce D'orjay The Singing Shaman. And I will let her introduce herself because she has a wonderful backstory, and it's better that she tell it instead of I do. So welcome to all our guests, and welcome, D'orjay, and I will hand it over to you.
Thank you so much, Dawn. I just want to thank you for the opportunity to be a part of this and to YEG Pride Center and all the work you do. Shout out to SJ Lafayette as well. I'm so excited to be here. My name is D'orjay. I'm the singing shaman. I have been practicing energy medicine for the better part of a decade now. Almost a decade. we're getting up there. I have traveled and trained around the world, training with different masters within different lineages. I'm a Buddhist practitioner. I have taken my refuge in the Vajrayana lineage as bestowed to me by my guru within the Rime tradition of the Zarzar Monastery in Ashuk village. And so I've been bestowed with those empowerments that I incorporate into my shamanic practice. Along with that, I trained with an accredited association called the Four Winds Society, run by a world-renowned anthropologist by the name of Dr. Alberto Velodo, who has worked with the Quero shaman in Peru for 40 plus years. And together they created a curriculum to train a new wave of modern shaman. So through those shaman down in South America, I was given the Munikai rights. And so I just think it's important to talk about the lineage and what I actually practice, and the medicine that I'm offering, where it comes from. I personally found energy medicine and meditation, and this ancient style of healing through navigating my own wounds and traumas. And, had gone the Western medicine route in my younger years. And as much as I have a big appreciation for Western medicine, and I think it can be exceptionally beneficial for some, it didn't really give me the support that I needed at the time. And so I was kind of put on this path to find alternatives, and was, really happily surprised how effective it was for me. And it's allowed me to generate and create tools to navigate the ups and downs of life that obviously now I choose to offer and to be of service to others as well, to bring that forward. So that's a little bit about me. We are going to do a shamanic journey tonight together, which I'm really excited about. And I'm going to explain more about that in a little bit. But I thought actually what we could start off with, just because I love to be interactive, especially just craving that interaction because of the pandemic. I thought maybe that if any of y'all had some questions about meditation in general, what that might look like, your spiritual practice, really, I mean, anything, you can ask me anything you want. I thought if anybody had some questions, we could start there. And then I also just have a couple suggestions around what you might want to try as well, just in terms of building your meditative practice. I think Dawn is going to be dealing with the questions, if there's any that are coming in, or the comments. This is kind of a little bit different because I can't see anybody. So maybe we'll just give it a couple minutes. I'm kind of guessing too, maybe people are still signing on. And I don't know.
So,
go ahead.
Folks are signing on. So we have 9 people in right now. So I guess I could ask a question if that's okay.
Of course.
So how did you end up, as I know you've talked about it, but going into energy work, but how did you find that that this particular style of energy work worked for you as opposed to working like with other kinds of practices. Like I have done like Buddhist meditation, and I know I haven't figured out what particular lineage I like, because I haven't quite explored all of that yet, and not really known how. But yeah, how did you decide which path was the best for you and which like lineage?
Well, I think in my case, the path and the lineage chose me. I think that can be unique for everyone. So for me personally, I was introduced to my guru at an open house, a very close friend of mine. And at that time too, like I was in a pretty dire straits in terms of my mental health. And there was just like immediate connection. I liken it to, what someone would describe as love at first sight, which I don't know if I've ever really experienced in a romantic sense, but there was a deep knowing that there was a connection between me and my guru. And it was like reciprocated. Like it was this very, guru disciple connection. It can be quite profound and beautiful. I mean, I think that sometimes that has gone, because it's been commercialized and capitalized, unfortunately, in a lot of ways. And in Western ideology, it's unfortunate that I think that gets taken advantage of. However, my Rinpoche is straight from Tibet. That's where he lives. That's where he is now. A part of his journey was to bring his teachings and his lineage over here, to have some disciples over in Canada. That was bestowed onto him by his guru as a part of his path. So, and then you go through a whole process. Like if you're going to go the route of a guru, which you don't have to be a Buddhist practitioner, there is an exchange of saying, asking really like, are you my guru? And my guru was very much like 100% I'm your guru. Why are you even asking? Like there was this he has a very deep voice like that, very deep and raspy. But for you, Dawn, I would suggest, and for anyone, is to explore. There's a lot of really beautiful temples and Dharma centers around our city in Edmonton here. And I could say with a lot of confidence that the majority of them would be open to you going and doing sadhana practice with them, which are textbooks. And so we like chant and usually do that together, and just get a sense of what you feel connected to, what resonates with you. What I love about the remake tradition that I'm a part of is it's really like the most open-minded of the lineages within Buddhism. Like literally anyone is welcome. My guru has many disciples who are in the LGBTQ 2S+ community, drag queens, just he loved all of that. He just was such an open-minded spirit, and it aligns with the remade tradition. And obviously if he can welcome my Black queer person, then that's where I want to be. Unfortunately, there are lineages within Buddhism that are also homophobic, but that is not what I'm about, not what I practice, obviously. So yeah, I think it's great to go and explore and actually go to a Dharma center and get like a real experience with monks and lamas and different Rinpoches, and see what comes up for you, to trust that inner knowing. I think if it's going to land, it's going to land. I think one other thing to just expand on that, Dawn, too, is that I have a very unique shamanic practice. So although I have these rites and these trainings and like several different modalities, I take what serves me from them and I leave the rest. I don't feel like I have to adhere to every single little rule or anything like that. So I trust my inner guidance and my deep connection with spirit itself and my divine self to be the biggest guiding force.
Okay, so like really what it comes down to is just like trusting your gut, trusting your intuition, so that when you're encountering these different practices and modalities, you feel out what's right for you. I think that the hard thing for some people is just wondering if, I don't know, like, especially as a person of color, navigating these different spaces,
Yeah.
what feels safe and and what doesn't. So there's that added layer of finding safety and um, a sense of community, because I know that having that sense of community is very important. We have someone who has a question about meditation. So someone says, "Hey there, I'm glad to be here. I did have a question about meditation. Could you please put your question in the chat, please, and then I can
Yeah.
ask for you."
Let me know. Yeah, you're right. It's important for you to find those safe spaces. I mean, in both instances, the communities that I were in, um, there generally was more people of color than white people, so that definitely was beneficial for me. And I do think that that's important, is for us to determine like what is important for us in our spiritual practice, and us making sure we uphold that for ourselves. So if something, to me, your spiritual or religious practice, if it feels limiting to you, if it feels like it's generating ideas and elements of shame, or that you are not, it's not okay for you to be who you are, I certainly would encourage you to steer yourself away from that, for sure.
So is your guru in Edmonton or outside of Edmonton? Like, are they like in Chile or wherever?
He's in Tibet, actually. Yeah, he's
Oh, cool.
Ashuk village, and the monastery is called the Zarzar Monastery. So, yeah, he's in Tibet all the way over. He used to travel to Vancouver twice a year, but it's become a lot harder to travel to and from Tibet because of the restrictions that China places on Tibet and the people of Tibet, and the discrimination that they face, unfortunately. So I have had the pleasure and the privilege of traveling over there on pilgrimage. But as a group, we were followed by the police the entire time. We were harassed. They came into like our hotels and demanded our passports. And we only were able to get so far in our pilgrimage before they forced us to turn around. So they really want to control, in particular, anybody from the West coming in and seeing how they actually do treat their people. But that's where Rinpoche is all the way over in Tibet.
Oh, wow. That is so amazing that you were basically drawn together and you've actually established this practice. So how important is it to I should let me just rephrase that question, because I know establishing some kind of practice is really helpful. But and this is actually where I was leading to. So the question came up. Since I finally reached a point in my healing journey where I have the space to meditate intentionally as a regular practice, but I've been struggling on my own to create a practice for myself. Do you have any recommendations on where to start? And that's the main reason why I actually signed up today, and because I was curious as well. But yeah, what do you recommend to set up a regular practice?
Yeah, I definitely have a lot of I think tips that maybe can help you. First and foremost, you're already equipped with curiosity. I think that's a great place to start. I think that a lot of times people have an idea because of what they've seen in media of what meditation is, and so it's just us sitting. We have to sit still in silence. You see the yogi with their hands in a mudra, and they're like emptying their mind. And I think that idea is quite realistic if you're a yogi in the mountains of Tibet, and that's a part of your daily just like job essentially is to be that. But it can be challenging for us over in the Western world because of how society is built, right? We're taught that we need to be on the go and be productive, and it's hard to slow down. So I think, when I go, just circling back to the curiosity thing of encouraging and inviting everyone to know that your meditative practice can be expansive, circumstantial, and it should be deeply personal. So your meditative practice does not have to look the same every day. I think it's really important to set yourself up for success. So if you're just starting off, probably not the best idea to decide that like you have to meditate an hour every day in stillness and silence. You're probably going to get pretty frustrated pretty quick and feel like you failed and feel and giving up. So start off really small, short periods of time. And, things that I will let you know is that your meditative practice should first and foremost allow you to experience as much as you can some presence. The journey we're going to do today, I've set up to help. Hopefully that'll help give you a kind of a way to, get your mind there. And to have relaxing, like to have some relaxation. Those are kind of, I guess, some of the short-term goals of meditation. And in my mind is for us to just be in a state of presence. And so we can pay attention, so we can generate more awareness. The long-term effect and benefit of that is we develop our intuitive decision-making skills. And I think that's the most important skill set that really anybody can have in a lot of ways. And instead of making, a lot of rash emotional decisions, we're making proactive, intuitive decisions about the direction our life is going. So starting off small, maybe you start off 3 times a week for 5 minutes and meet your mind where you are. So if you struggle with a racing mind, do a moving meditation, go for a walk, set an intention on your walk that for, 5 or 10 minutes, I'm going to really just focus on what the trees are doing while I'm walking around my neighborhood. And so anytime your mind wants to wander off, which it likely inevitably will do, you have a focal point to draw yourself back to. So you're like, okay, I'm going to worry about that bill I have to pay in 5 minutes from now. I need to be focusing on what are those trees doing? Like, how is the wind blowing through those trees? Can I go up and connect and engage my senses by just like placing my hand on the bark of the tree and feeling that texture? Connecting with the divinity that is like this world and nature. I think finding that wonder, especially, obviously there's a lot of negative, horrible things that happen in this world, but there is beauty as well. There is divinity. And it's usually in the really simple things. And so that is definitely one way. Or another way you can do a moving meditation is put on one of your favorite songs and give yourself permission to just dance. Like dance, let your body just move, let it take over. Do it with reckless abandon. Just be in it. Just give yourself permission to do that. Another thing that I do sometimes is I try to bring presence into like mundane tasks that I have to do, like washing dishes, putting away laundry. So, what I try to do with that is like narrate what I'm doing, either out loud or in my mind. So I'm like almost like a cooking show. It's like I'm picking up this plate. I am feeling the warmth of the water and the suds of the soap on the plate. I am placing it in the drying rack. I'm placing my hands back in the water. You got to wash dishes anyways. So it can be a form of meditation. Some days I do 30 seconds of meditation. Other days I do 30 minutes to 60 minutes of meditation. And my meditative practice changes throughout the year quite a bit. So in the spring and summertime, I love to be outside. I love to just be in nature and walk and connect that way. In the winter months, I feel more drawn to my altar. For obvious reasons, like I'm not a fan of the cold, but, I like to get insightful. I like to work with my oracle cards and meditate and contemplate on messages I'm getting from those cards. Other times I like to use guided meditations. Myself, I have a journey album, a Shamanic Journey album, but there's like tons of free meditations online on YouTube, all lengths of times, all different ideas and intentions. So, you can work with having others guide you first so you can gain a practice. One of my main go-to techniques is just focusing with breathing, doing something called box breathing. So it's a counted breath. And I like to put a hand on heart and hand on belly. My belly's down here, you can't tell, but, and the count that I use is 7 and 1. So I inhale through my nose for a count of 7, and whatever that count is for you, whatever, it doesn't have to be Mississippi's, but and then I hold it at the top of the breath. I exhale from my mouth for a count of 7, and I hold at the bottom of the breath for 1 count. And what that cycle of breathing, that style of breathing does is it helps to engage our parasympathetic nervous system, which puts us in a place of relaxation, receptiveness, intuitiveness, calm, where our sympathetic nervous system is like connected to the mind, or the egoic self is really what I want to say there. And that's our fight, flight, freeze, fawn, or flood response when we are anxious. So practicing that type of breathing, one, the great thing is you can breathe anywhere. So the excuse is I don't have time to meditate. Again, my invitation would be like, well, what barrier are you putting there? Because really, if you can be expansive with it, the transition you make from your car into work, you could take 60 seconds and do several rounds of that breathing and just accept that that's what you got done that day. And that's great. That's a success. And also with that particular style of breathing, just kind of one last thing too, is that I make sure that I do that breathing when I'm feeling great. And it makes it an even more effective tool when I am feeling anxious, right? Because my body knows what's going on, and it knows that this is a practice that gets us into that calm state. So like when I'm nervous before a show, I'm a singer and songwriter as well. If I'm stressed about like a pitch or a presentation, whatever that is, and you know, your stomach's doing that gurgly thing and you're just freaking out, I go into that breathing, and now my body and my mind is so used to that. They're like, oh, we're fine. We're actually safe. We're not in real danger. We're feeling a little anxious, but everything is actually okay. So yeah, I hope that gives like a lot of different tips and tricks. Like, be curious, explore, find what works for you, take what serves you and leave the rest, and build your own unique experience for yourself. And I think that is the trick for longevity when it comes to a meditative practice.
That is a really great answer. And there's so much to draw from that and unpack from that for sure. So how does, this may sound like an odd question, but how much does joy play a part in a meditative practice? Because as you said, like most people think of meditation as, oh, well, I'm supposed to sit very still in one spot. My hands are supposed to be in diamond mudra or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I am supposed to be still and not fidget and no smiling at all. And I am supposed to empty my mind as like thoughts are just racing all over the place. So how does joy fit into a meditative personal practice?
Wow, that's a great question. I mean, I think the answer would be, I mean, joy can fit in there anywhere. I feel, you know, some of the suggestions I made, like, you know, kind of putting on your favorite song that brings you joy and just inviting your body to move to it. You know, there's a highly healing frequency that comes from being in joy. So yeah, I think being present with joy is incredibly impactful. And that could be your meditative practice. I mean, we could be expansive about that. So if your meditative practice for a few weeks because you want to really focus on joy is when you wake up in the morning, what can I do today? Like very consciously, intentionally, how will I access joy today? What can that look like today? Could the joy be when I walk to my car, if a flock of birds or a bird flies over, I will truly take that moment to be in joyful wonder of that bird. And like, how is that bird up in the air like that? You know, I think you can, eating like a piece of fruit that you really enjoy that is beautiful, that can be a meditation of like experiencing the joy of delicious, nourishing fruit, right? So yeah, that's a great question, and certainly can be invited in to the meditative space. Absolutely.
Oh, that is so wonderful to hear. And I'm sure a lot of people who are listening right now are really appreciating that. Yeah, that it doesn't have to be like where you're supposed to like really like try to meditate, but you have this experience, have this sense of being present. I think that's the one thing that a lot of people are really looking for, especially now during COVID-19. We're in this space where we are experiencing this isolation, and in that maybe a sense of rigidity, and we want to find that expansiveness. So I guess in light of that, now that we are in COVID, how do we, and I'm sure like doing this guided journey, how do we find this sense of I guess expansiveness, like where we're just connecting? Is it really just like being present and being open to what's happening in this moment and being comfortable with that?
Yeah, you know, I think it's like, one, yes, the more we can practice being present usually means that we can be in a state of surrender and flow and just accept things as they come, as opposed to becoming so attached to the outcome. Because usually when we come to attach to a specific outcome, we create suffering for ourselves. But that being said, that is easier said than done for some, right? When we talk about marginalized communities, when we talk about, you know, folks who are just really struggling to survive day to day, you know, I think I want to be mindful of that, of sometimes like that rigidity comes from just actual survival, of needing to survive. I also think another way that I could receive that question, or what I could offer, would be that rigidity that we are kind of experiencing, obviously coming from the restrictions in general, I think speaks to something greater of, you know, all of these roles and ideas that are impressed upon us by the systems themselves, right? On a macro level, and that inform how we navigate life, in particular if you are BIPOC, in particular if you are in the LGBTQ2S+ community, all of that. And so I think for all of us, what I'm trying to, my mantra over this last year, in particular when I went into start recording my album, I do country music, for any of you who don't know, which is like a whole thing as a fat Black queer woman to be doing country music. I really had to break free of all of the ideas that were impressed upon me of what I should be doing so I can assimilate into country music. And on a spiritual level, it was very much like no rules. Like that was it. It was like, nah, I'm doing this for me. This is my experience. I'm not going to be bound by anybody else's idea of who I am. I've done that long enough in my life, and I'm not doing it anymore. You know, at almost 40 years old, I'm just not doing it anymore. And I just want to invite more and more people of like, what is that rigidity? What is that idea of yourself? Is that coming from you? Or is that coming from what the government tells you you are, what society is telling you are, what the media is telling you are? Or is that like what your parents were telling you you were? You know, somebody who hurt you in the past, like just really kind of going within and like who is oppressing you? Like what is really oppressing you? And from there, what can you do to offer more fluidity in your life? I think that idea, like I said, going back to surrender as opposed to attachment, comes with acceptance. Like I think that it's a practice that you have to work with, but the more that we can accept where we are and get out of the what ifs of the future and the yeah buts of the past, the easier it is for us to be receptive to abundance. And I don't mean just like money, but I mean spiritual abundance, emotional, mental, physical abundance. Because like, yeah, we're just being in flow with what the universe is offering. I believe that the universe is conspiring with us. And if we are in true alignment and understanding of what our experience, what we want our experience to be, if we can get really clear about that, I do, in my experience overall, the universe supports that. So when I'm in alignment, my shit accelerates. Things always just fall into place. They line up. When I continue to hit up to obstacles and challenges, I choose to look at that as, not as a why me. I try to reframe it to, what is the universe inviting me to see? Can I trust that the universe, instead of looking at this as from a place of scarcity, can I look at the universe as that's not for you, baby. We just want you to move along. And I think also us programming into our mind, inviting in the idea that we shouldn't have to work so hard to have pleasure and to have joy and to feel safe. And again, yes, we have a long place to go, I think, collectively on that idea. But if we can just start to invite in those ideas individually and try to invite in those ideas, I think that that's a great place to start. My partner and I, we've been reading Adrienne Marie Brown's book, Pleasure Activism. And it's so revolutionary. She did a collection of different essays, including with Audre Lorde. And just the concepts and the ideas of that are, to me, just revolutionary of, we all deserve pleasure. We this idea of that, we have to suffer and work really hard to be rewarded or to be, safe and secure and comfortable and successful comes from capitalism and white supremacy and the people in power, right? They have created a system of scarcity. We have enough resources on this planet to feed and to house and to care for everyone. And we're not doing it, right? So I think the more we realize that we deserve more, and then we do that on a personal level, then we organize as a collective, and then we take over. We go to our employees, AKA the government, and we say we want better and we want it now. So I think, that's where the trajectory of that is, or to that goes to me of that rigidity. We have to think about, what are the scripts? Who's telling us? What is that? Who is that voice in our head telling us that, we're constricted? So free your mind. I think the rest will follow. And that practice of surrender, I think, is really powerful. The practice of presence, the practice of developing your intuitive decision-making skills. And two, the journey I'm doing today is totally centered around, how do we get out of the what ifs and the yeah buts, the future and the the future and the past, and how can we just connect with our presence? Yeah. I hope that answered the question. I kind of went off on a tangent. I'm sorry. That happens often.
No, I think that's great, because it leads to, there's a teacher that I follow. I can't remember her name. There's a few that I follow on the Liberate app. If anybody is interested in an app, there's 5-minute meditations up to 20 minutes plus talks, things like that. But one of the teachers had said that meditation is not only an individual act, it is a collective action. And so I personally find solace in that, because I know when I'm meditating on whatever sort of energetic, vibrational level, whatever I am doing is filtering out to the people that I interact with, in my apartment building, in my family,
Yes.
At my workplace. Somehow I'm able to, when I give myself the opportunity to meditate, tapping into, synchronizing my breath and my body,
Mm-hmm.
so that I can activate the wise mind, where I'm not being emotional about, or, letting the emotions come.
Yeah, let the emotions come, but can we hold space for them as opposed to repressing them or judging them? Can we be in observance of those emotions, and can we be compassionate with those emotions, Yeah.
And being compassionate to yourself too. I think that's the main thing.
Yes.
So I guess that's another question that I have. Yes, going in and
I love it.
hopefully asking questions that people may have. But what is it, or what process would you advise in terms of dealing with those difficult emotions that arise? There's the teachings that say, just sit with it and it will pass. But does that really happen?
It might for some people. I have a pretty, I've created a tool to navigate when I'm, navigating some tough emotions or struggling with some emotions. And it's really to engage in deep, compassionate conversation with myself. I kind of refer to the aspects of who we are as our egoic selves, which our egoic selves is connected to the mind itself, to the physical reality that we are experiencing within the human body, and then our divine self. So, I mean, obviously having some type of belief system around the fact that we have a soul is, that would have to probably align with you. I mean, maybe it doesn't, but that's obviously something important for me and that I adhere to. So we have our egoic self and we have our divine self. Our egoic self is emotional. That is our emotions. It can be discerning, reactionary, and our divine self is meant to be compassionate, inquisitive, observant, validating. So I like to bring them into communication, direct communication, because usually when we have the emotions or the feelings you're talking about, overall, where do they live? They live here, right? We get into our mind, we get into it, we create stories, and it just it runs off the rails. It just does whatever it wants. And it starts to, take hold into, it can manifest into physical illness, all that kind of stuff. So first and foremost, if this starts happening up here, I want to just create a Zoom meeting for divine self and egoic self here in the heart space. So I focus my energy here, my intention or my attention here. I do some of those box breaths, and then I invite egoic self to meet here and also divine self to meet here. And they embark on conversation. And it always starts with divine self in that same compassionate voice that you would use with your best friend if they were having a hard day, or your child, or, an elder that you care for, that same loving voice if they were having a rough day. That's what it is. So for me, if I'm having a thing, the first thing I do on the divine side is I validate myself. So it's like, hey, D'orjay, you're upset right now. I'm here. Tell me what's going on. So, and then egoic side flips in and said, well, this happened. This person said something like this, and this is how I'm taking it, and da 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 da. So I just already I'm creating this relationship within myself of being in right relationship with myself. And then it goes back and forth. So divine self listens to that and it says, okay, so is this just about this thing that this person said, or is this touching on a deeper wound? Is there something else at play here? Maybe one of the other questions I might ask is this really yours? Or is it because you're sensitive and you're an empath? Did you just kind of pick up somebody else's shit? And then, it could be things like, are you just hungry? Are you tired? Have you been working too hard? Do you need rest? I check in and I allow egoic self to take a moment. I take another deep breath and then I go, yeah, no, this is totally touching on my abandonment issues. Yeah, this is a cycle that's coming up for me and it's making me feel not safe, right? That could be the answer. Or the answer could be like, oh yeah, I had that really intense client session and this is actually just, I think, run off from what I was navigating. Or yeah, I think I'm just tired. So I think I need to take a break. I need some water. I need to eat, whatever that is. So the divine self is there to hold space. They're there to validate and to be compassionate. And they're guiding the egoic self to a solution. Because then the next question would be like, okay, so what can we do for you to feel better? What do you think you need right now? How can I support you? And the answer, I don't really care at that point what the answer is, because there's empowerment there no matter what. So it really is. It could be like, I want to just smoke a joint and watch reality TV for the rest of the night. That's all I have the space for. Or it could be like, I think I just need to journal a little bit. I think I need to write this out. Or I need to call a friend, I think, and talk this out. Or I need to have a direct, whatever that is. I need to go for a walk. I need to go and do some sun salutations. I need to order a pizza and eat it. And again, with no judgment. And so from there, again, it's very empowering. I have validated myself. I've shown myself that I'm never alone. that I am my greatest teacher, my greatest healer, and I'm my greatest student and disciple as well. And that there's space for all of it, you know? So that's how what I teach my students and my clients to use as a tool. I use it myself on a very regular basis, and it's very impactful. And it's something that I've kind of developed as a tool over the years of working with my clients.
So that actually leads to a question that just came up in the chat.
Wow.
It's great. Like, this flow is just amazing. And, you know, we're at 40 minutes right now. So please let me know when you're ready to start the journey.
Yeah, I think in about 10 minutes, I think would be about perfect, around there.
Okay, sounds good.
If we run over, I mean, linear time isn't real. So it's not the end of the world.
So a question in the chat. So I've seen a lot of people offering to teach about shamanism, but I don't feel, you know, that they're real. I feel pulled to shamanism lately, and I don't know anything about that. So how could you know that shamanism is your path? I feel you're real, which is great.
Thank you.
And how can I contact more people like you or find my guru?
Wow. Yeah, there are a lot of people offering to teach about shamanism. The industry has shifted a lot since I started down this path. Back when I started my training, there was very few, I would say, energy healers in the city. 5 or 6 years ago, when I started my full moon meditation class that I did every month, there was virtually nothing like it. And, you know, capitalism got its fingers in that pot too. And with that has come a lot of appropriation, a lot of whitewashing, unfortunately. And with me also, there's an aspect of it that being quite dangerous. We literally are working with people's souls. And with that comes an immense amount of responsibility. And it concerns me when, you know, I've seen like online, like entities online offering to teach soul retrievals for $30. And soul retrieval is a tool that you're trained in many lineages or many styles of shamanism, which works with you literally retrieving a missing aspect of someone's soul. So if somebody's learning that online, you know, for a few dollars, it does concern me. So I think you definitely do have to do your due diligence. I think this is Sue who's asking this question. I would encourage you to like really check in with your intuition. Like you're saying, I've been feeling pulled to this, but I don't feel that you're feeling that I'm real. I think those are things to trust. I really encourage you to trust that inner voice. I think, again, doing your research, like for me, I'm not going to, there's a training programs here in this province of, you know, old white women just deciding that they are going to train and create shamans, and it's like not attached to anything. And it's not even necessarily that I'm like they shouldn't do that, but like to me, like that's not shamanism. Like you've totally bypassed and erased the tradition of what shamanism is. And when you take away the indigeneity from it, and listen, there's shamanism in Celtic history, like all of that, but that's not what they're doing. And I have a real issue with that. Being a shaman in my mind and how I was trained is very much a designation, and you go through your paces. It's not a few weekend courses, which is often now what's being offered. It's not that, as far as what I believe it is. So yeah, I think doing your research, your due diligence, I think it's very valid and fair for you to ask people about their training. Where did you teach from? Where did you learn from? You know, have you been appropriate with what you're doing? What are your practices? I think that is integral, is to be inquisitive. I really struggle. I will let almost virtually no one work on me. I have like 1 or 2 other healers that I trust to work on me, because there is a lot of shenanigans out there. There's a lot of self-professed shaman, like just have decided that they're shaman. And I think that can be dangerous. I think that because to me, it's just about clout or that idea. I know friends who don't have any traditional training who I do consider a shaman, but they won't uphold that name. But like in private, I would call them that or acknowledge this that they are, because I have an understanding of their medicine and understand what they're doing. But I think a lot of people do it for the notoriety. It seems like it's this title. It's the same thing, that happened with Reiki, which is not something I practice, but what Reiki did, which I think in a lot of ways is really smart in terms of it spreading as much as it has, is like, you can be called a Reiki master. So there's this idea of that you're up on a pedestal and there's an energy, and it's like, I don't want to shit on anybody that does Reiki. It's not that, but like, I have noticed that, there's like this frequency that comes with people saying that often of like, yes, I'm a Reiki master. And it's like, what does that mean? Like, to me, a master is somebody who does like, a few weekend courses and does like a little bit of practicum. Like, I don't know, like, is that mastery? And like, what does that even mean? And why does that even matter? I think that has gotten a lot more people wanting to do that. And sometimes it's just to have that title because it seems validating. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of healers do struggle with imposter syndrome. And so I think sometimes that those titles become too important. I have really struggled over the last year in terms of my designation as shaman. And I wouldn't let, people shouldn't be surprised if in the next 5 or 10 years I drop the title completely, because I think that it's just being diluted and it doesn't mean the same thing that it did 10, 20, 30, 40, 100 years ago that it's starting to mean now. And it doesn't matter. I'm a medicine person. I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. So, it is a part of my brand for a reason, but I also feel, for me, I do feel like I've earned that title. So yeah, I hope that answers your question a little bit, Sue. I mean, you can find your guru. My gosh, again, like I said, go and explore different modalities, perhaps different philosophies or religions. I do one-on-one sessions. I have started a beta type of mentorship with one particular student of training them one-on-one. I've been really tentative about doing that in that way. I don't feel like I have the right to bestow that title shaman on anybody, if that makes sense. That's not my place, but I do think I'm very adept, or like I can teach those tools in a way that could be very helpful, and that they could, pass that on and create their own energy medicine practice. So like, even with me, like, I am very respectful of the title. Like, I wouldn't just like say like, yeah, you can come and train with me for a couple months and I'll call you a shaman. And, and then like, so yeah, I think, that's something. So yeah, so I do one-on-one shamanic sessions. That's my day job, is being a shaman. My other job is being a singer-songwriter. So yeah, I'm happy if you're interested in doing a session. I do sliding scales with all of my sessions. So I try to make everything as accessible to people as possible. And we can talk about it more there if you'd like, or if you want to just get an experience with a shaman and what a session would look like. Yeah, you can let me know. I hope that answers your question.
So yeah, how do people reach you?
Yeah, my website is d'orjay.ca, DORJAY.ca. And you can find really all the things about what I do.
Right, that was D'orjay at
d'orjay.ca.
Oh, well, that's pretty simple.
Yeah,
okay,
easy peasy.
Good stuff. Okay.
I think there's one more question here. What would that practice be called? The one with divine and egoic self? Well, I'm currently in the beginnings of writing a whole book about it. So that is still kind of in development of what I'm actually going to call that system. But you could really just, for now, you could just call it being in deep, compassionate conversation with yourself. Deep, compassionate. Did I say incompassionate? That was weird. Deep, compassionate conversation. That's what you could call it. Or you could call it the other, that's not what it's going to be for the book, but I used to refer to it as the heart space check-in. You could do it that way too. So we're just checking in. This is the boardroom here. Mind, soul, we meet here. And yeah, we have a discussion.
I like that. That's pretty awesome.
And that being said,
sorry, go ahead, sorry.
I also have a chapbook series, an e-literature chapbook series called Shit My Shaman Says. There's two. I just released the second volume a couple weeks ago, and it's just a guidebook. It's like a self-empowerment little guidebook. It has a few short chapters in there, and there's also recorded journeys that go along with them. And that's available. You can go through my website, but it's also available through my publishing partners, Party Trick Press. And yeah, it's also a sliding scale. So I think the prices go from $2.99 to $10.99. You can pay anywhere within that scale. So again, we just try to make things as accessible as possible. And that has a lot of great tips for working with self-inquisition and guiding yourself to your own medicine.
Great. I'm just putting that in the chat. And that was what I was going to ask you about anyway. So thank you for talking about your chapbooks. I noticed them online. I'm like, oh, okay, this is really great.
Yeah, they've been really fun to create.
So I think I don't see any more questions coming up. I don't have any more questions.
Okay. That was so great. What was the name of the ebook? Okay, we got it. Yeah. Yeah, that was so wonderful. I think, yeah, it feels like we could be ready to transition to the next phase. So the journey that I'm bringing forward today is actually kind of a bit on a riff of an idea around 3 statements. And the 3 statements is, I am the future, I am the past, and I am the present. I am. And it was a concept that I read about like years and years and years ago. And I wanted to create imagery around it. And I think, man, I haven't gone back to this journey in so long, but in my contemplation today, that's what came forward to walk you through. So what I like to do is a shamanic journey, by the way, is really just a form of a guided meditation. But when we journey, we are often accessing, as shaman, we are accessing the library of the past, present, and future. And we are bringing that information into a way to shine light into the darkness and the shadows of one's experience as reference points. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to kind of journey, we call it in the middle realm. So really just like, you know, being out in nature as you would experience here. And so I'm going to just kind of walk you all through really quickly the essence of the journey. I find that it helps, especially if you're a beginner, when I explain it first. This helps the brain, the egoic self, get into line. And then when we actually do the journey itself, the brain is like more able to relax because nothing's necessarily a surprise. Your brain has already heard it before. And so on a subconscious level, it's not going to be as like, you're not going to get a lot of like, wait, what did she say? What does she mean? What's that about? Yeah, so I'm just going to walk you through quickly the imagery. And I want a couple of things for you all to know, that there is no failure here. Some people naturally have very strong visualization. So they can close their eyes, and maybe all of you can do that at home right now. Let's just see where you're at. So just close your eyes really quickly. And I want to ask, can you all visualize or see where you slept last night? Can you see whatever that was? And if you can get a sense of that, that is probably pretty close to what your visualization might be like. Everybody is different. You might see, sense, hear, feel. Some folks really just listen to me as if I'm telling a story, like I'm just narrating a story and they're just listening to it. So again, I just want to encourage you all to be expansive. Just, you don't need to judge yourself, especially if you're new to this. If anything, if you could just take away feeling relaxed by listening to my shamany voice and the rattle, I think that that's really great. I just want for you to try as much as you can, to just go with the flow with what it is. I'm gonna like the journey itself is gonna help to try to like acknowledge the egoic mind, give it permission to fill up, and then we're gonna release it. So I always like to start my journeys for the most part standing in a green field. So I'm going to describe that to you. Standing in a green field, engaging all of your senses. Sun is shining, blue sky, white fluffy clouds. There's trees, forests surrounding this field. We're going to just connect with that. And then I'm going to lead you into the forest. There's going to be a pathway. We're going to walk. It's going to be beautiful. And then we're going to find ourselves at a clearing where we come to a river. Okay. Forest is running alongside both sides of the river. We're going to connect with the water. I'm going to invite you to step into the river, to go to the very center of the river. And I'm going to guide you to just float on your back. Okay. From there, I'm going to walk you through a few prompts. And essentially, we're going to start off with the prompt of inviting in the idea of I am the future. And then I'm going to ask you to do something. I want you to fill your brain up. I want you to call forward, like in kind of quick succession, your hopes, your dreams, your responsibilities, the to-do list, the obligations, all of that. I want you to just let it fill right up. Failures, potential successes. I'm just going to have you fill your brain up with it. And then I'm going to walk you through releasing it, imagining that it's just draining out of the brain. Okay. We're going to continue floating down the river. And then the next question is going to be, or the next prompt is going to be, I am the past. And again, I'm going to encourage you to call up just anything that wants to come up from your past, from your earliest childhood memory, your joys, your traumas. And again, and we don't want you to sit in the traumas too much. We're just calling them up kind of quickly, filling up the brain, letting it do its thing, and then we're going to release again. And then finally, I'm going to guide you to the prompt of I am present, and then to just I am, and offering that to you as a mantra. Mantra means a vehicle of the mind. So we're going to use mantras as a way for you to have a focal point so you can be in that presence. Okay. So I'm going to really draw that picture. And once I get you to that place of I am, I'm going to chant. So I'm going to do the White Tara chant today. So I'm going to do that for a little bit. And then I'll kind of bring you back into, back to be with me in the journey. We're going to focus on the energy of the sun at that point and just kind of fill ourselves up with some heart-centered energy. And then we'll wrap up. Yeah. So hopefully that will be a good experience for all of you. And it's, I call it like a mythic map. So it's a mythic map that I'm showing you, that I'm offering you, that then you can do on your own if you'd like. So I think wherever you may be, lovies, if you can get comfortable, lying down, sitting up, whatever that looks like for you, I personally encourage you to, if you have it available, to place something over your eyes. I think that for me, that can help with journeying with visualization, is to have it really dark. Some people don't need that, which is totally fine. But yeah, I'm just going to give you like 60 seconds to get nice and comfortable. And while you are all doing that, I am going to open up sacred space. I'm going to invoke my medicine into the space. So I just have to step in a few different directions. So I'm just going to stand up to do that. To the winds of the south, great serpent, wrap your coils of light around us. Teach us to shed our past as you shed your skin, to walk softly on this earth. Show us the beauty way. Aho! To the winds of the west, Mother Jaguar, protect our medicine space. Teach us to live in peace, to live impeccably. Show us the way beyond death. Aho! To the winds of the north, Hummingbird, grandmother, grandfathers, ancient ones, come and warm your hands by our fires. Whisper to us in the wind. We honor you who've come before us and you who will come after, our children's children. Aho! To the winds of the east, great eagle condor, come to us from the place of the rising sun. Keep us under your wing. Show us the mountains we only dare to dream of. Teach us to fly wing to wing with the great spirit. Aho! Pachamama, Mother Earth Gaia, we've gathered here to honor all of your children. The stone people, the plant people, the four-legged, the two-legged, the creepy crawler, the thin, the third, the winged ones. All our relations. Aho! Father Sun, Grandmother Moon, Nichi Tai Tai, to the star nations, my brothers and sisters, helping guides and spirits, to all who are here with us tonight, they're helping guides and spirits, and to the great spirit who's known by 1,000 names and who is the unnameable one. Thank you, thank you, thank you for allowing us to gather here today as we sing the great song of life. Aho! Okay. I'm just going to also put a little bit of gentle background music here. We didn't sound check this before, Dawn, but I think it should be just fine. I'm just gonna, don't mind the commercial that's playing. I use the same track here. Just while I'm just pulling this up, you can just continue to focus on your breath. Nice big inhales and exhales. Just getting into that relaxed state, lovies. Okay. I'm going to be using my rattle as well. And what the rattle does is just help to get the body, the mind, and the soul into more of a trance-like state. It opens you up to being more receptive to energy in general, and in particular, energy medicine. Okay, my dears. We are going to start off by taking 3 deep breaths together. Inhaling through the nose. Exhaling from the mouth. Inhale. And release. Inhale. And let go. Eyes go closed here if they aren't already. We begin our journey, standing in a green field, engaging all of your senses here, starting off by looking down at your feet and feeling the lush, cool green grass between your toes. As you start to draw your gaze upwards, you see that there is forest, trees surrounding this field in every direction. Beyond the tops of the trees, the sky is a lovely shade of pale blue. White fluffy clouds rolling by. And Father Sun is high in the sky, shining down his healing and warm energy. And you can feel that warmth on the top of your head and on your shoulders. As you take your next inhale, a gust of wind comes and you can feel that breeze on your face. And with every breath that follows here, you sink deeper and deeper into a relaxed state. Inviting you now to look to the trees. Directly in front of you, not too far away from where you are standing, you see that there is a path leading you into the forest. Step forward. Walk towards this path now. And as you enter into the forest, stepping on this path, taking a moment to notice the well-worn dirt beneath your feet. Perhaps as you walk, you feel inclined to reach your arm out and let your fingertips graze the bark of the trees. Beams of sunlight are shining through the canopy of the leaves and branches. The wind is creating a symphony of sound rustling through the foliage. And you feel content and safe here. As you continue to walk this path, another gust of wind comes, and with it the sound of water. And you know this is where we are headed. As you take your attention to look ahead, you can see that the path is close to ending and there is a clearing. Maybe in anticipation, you pick up your pace just a bit. Arriving at the end of the path now, here at the clearing, before you, a wide and divine river winding through the trees. As you move closer to the water's edge, you can even feel the moisture on the grass from the mist of the water. You connect with the movement of the water. Looking to your left and to your right, seeing that it has no end and no beginning. Inviting you now to step into the water, one foot and then the other. Feel the coolness of the water against the warmth of your skin. The first few steps are quite shallow. We're going to walk towards the center of the river. And as you go further in, the water becomes deeper. You can feel that the current gets stronger, but you are stable. You are secure as the water goes up to your knees and to your thighs. The water's at your hips now. As we get closer to the center, the water is at your waist, at your chest, almost at the center now. A few more steps, the water at your neck. Next, I'm going to invite you to turn your body so you are facing the flow of the current, or you are facing the flow that the current is moving towards. And taking a nice big inhale here and letting the head fall back, letting the body follow so you are carried away, floating on the surface of this moving river. Inviting your arms and legs to stretch out like you're a star. Only your face is out of the water. You might even feel a little bit heavy here. Feel the sun shining directly on your face. Taking a few deep breaths here. As your eyes are closed in your physical reality, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes within. And giving you the prompt here to say internally, I am the future. I am the future. Go ahead. Let the mind fill up with the to-do list, the priorities, the responsibilities, the obligations, the future goals and dreams, the potential failures, the possible success. Let your mind fill up with all that is your future until it overflows. And when you're ready, with a nice big exhale, let it all drain away. Let it seep out of your ears into the water. Let the water carry it away. You can do this again. Another nice big exhale. Let it go. Let it empty out. The river continues to carry you down, down, down. And after this release, you may notice that your body is feeling just a little bit lighter, a little bit more buoyant. As your eyes are closed, you can still connect with the warmth of the sun on your face and that contrast of coolness to the rest of the body that is submerged. Connecting with our breath again, centering here. As I invite you to your next prompt, inviting you to say internally, I am the past. I am the past. Here you're going to call and allow the mind to conjure up memories. Go back to your earliest childhood memory or experience. The joys, the pains, whatever it is, allow it to come up. The yeah buts, all of it, the regrets, let it come up, let it fill and flood the mind here. No need to dwell on one specific thing too long. We just want to invite it all to come up, all of that congestion. Give the mind full permission to just do its thing. And when you're ready, when it is full to the brim, nice big exhale, releasing, encouraging all that congestion to drain out of the mind through the ears, releasing into the water. Knowing that the river is carrying away all of that energetic congestion. Feel free to exhale multiple times with that intention that you are draining and emptying out the mind of what is the past. We continue to float. Down, down the river takes us. The body is feeling even lighter. An element of trust and surrender starts to introduce itself. Even though you're not looking where the river is carrying you, you are trusting that it has you, that you are safe. Inhale. Nice big exhale. Your final prompt. Inviting you to say internally, I am the present. I am the present. I am the present. Drop the present. I am. I am. I am. Can the idea of the body dissipate here? The idea of the personality dissipate here, so you become one with the water. You are the same frequency. There is no end or beginning of what is the water and what is you. I am. I am. I am. Continue with this mantra as you float weightlessly. I am. Be here now with your own divine nature and your true presence. I am. Om Benza Nara Jing Jing Hong Hong Fei Fei. Om Benza Mala Kala Jing Jing Bing Bing Ya Kali Pepe Guru Mala Kala Haire Nitsa Siddhiza Haye Punye Jana Putin Kuru Soha Om Benza Nara Jing Jing Hong Hong Fei Fei. Om Benza Mala Kala Jing Jinga Binga Minga Yakam Pepe Guru Mala Kala Haire Nitsa Siddhiza Haye Punye Jana Putin Kuru Soha. I am. 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 Here you are, one with the water. Here in the journey, I'm going to invite you to open the eyes so you can focus on the sun in the sky. And as soon as you connect with the sun, it turns a deep shade of amber. And you start to feel it drawing towards you as if you were a magnet for its energy. It does not scare you. It does not burn you. It is coming towards you. And as the sun gets nearer, it starts to shrink in size. And as it continues its journey towards you, I want to invite you to focus on your heart space, seeing if you can encourage it to open up. Can you be willing to receive the energy of this amber ball of light? Inviting in that warmth, that ball of amber light joins you in your heart space. And it doesn't just stay there in the center of your chest. That warmth starts to radiate out from the chest, up towards your shoulders and your head, down towards your belly, your legs, your feet, radiating out further from your toes and your fingertips, generating through or traveling through the water, to the grass running alongside, to the trees, and beyond. Give yourself permission to fully embody this warmth. I am. I am. I am. You can feel beneath you now. The current of the water, the river is slowing. until you come to stillness, no movement. Taking a moment here to offer thanks and gratitude to yourself for coming on this journey today, for being open to perhaps trying something new, to however you showed up with this journey and this experience, just offering yourself that recognition and that gratitude. And you might want to extend that gratitude to the field and the trees and the sky and the sun, and of course, the river. Just bask in that for just a moment, all that you are. And together as one. 3 nice big inhales and exhales. Inhaling through the nose. Exhaling from the mouth. Inhale. And release. Inhale. And let go. If you can, let your eyes just stay closed here for a moment longer as you come back to your body. Wiggling of your fingers and your toes. We don't have to rush here. Just coming all the way back, gently. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes. Tashi Delay, thank you for sharing space with me.
Ooh. Thank you so much for a wonderful meditation.
You're welcome. How are you feeling, Dawn? How was that for you?
Oh, wow. It's like, dang, I'm on YouTube and I'm a little emotional.
I tend to have that effect on people. No worries.
No kidding. But it was wonderful. Like just floating down the river and just really just being in that position to let go. And I think that's just something, and I would hope that our, the viewers who are in today just had that opportunity to just be able to just kind of have that moment of release.
Yeah. And I hope that offers some framework for all of you. You can go do that river float on your own. I am the future. I am the past. I am the present. I am. I think that's a kind of a great visualization, a beginner visualization, and a great way to help. Just like, if your mind is racing, to just give it that space to let it flood up, let it release. Dawn, 2 more things that came up. Actually, 3 things that I just want to mention. The first thing is I did say that I was going to do the white Tara mantra, but the black Mahakala mantra came out of my mouth. I don't know really if any of you would have known the difference, but I just wanted to say Black Mahakala was who wanted to come forward. So that's what came forward in terms of the empowerment. He's a protector deity, he just brings protection. So I guess maybe we needed some extra protection today. Something else I just wanted to mention really briefly, just around building your meditative practice for all of you. I know I offered a lot of tips there, but one, just to if you have to fidget, if you have to move your body, that's totally fine. I don't know if we fully just said that, but again, I journey often with my eyes open, one, because I do it so often and I do it every day with clients. So it's I have to sometimes have my eyes open and I can still have visualization. If you were ever in a meditation or a visualization and you needed to stop and take notes, you can do that and then just hop back into your visualization. So again, I want you to get out of any rigidity with your meditative practice. Okay. If your nose is itchy, just scratch your nose, for goodness sakes, as opposed to just like thinking about it, that I have an itchy nose, but I can't move. I have an itchy nose. I can't move. Scratch your nose and continue on. The other thing I didn't touch on, but is important about I think the meditative practice, is to invite actual creativity into your meditative practice. That is another form of meditation. So whether that be writing, singing, drawing, painting, cooking, and doing it from a place that you're just practicing being creative, and it's not necessarily for others' consumption. It's just for you. From coloring books from the dollar store or cheap paints, maybe you just throw paint on a cheap canvas of how you feel, and it doesn't really matter how it looks. I mean, you can throw the canvas out if you want after, but just allowing yourself to explore your creative side, that brings us closer to our divinity. Just one last thing, just to let people know, if you're on Instagram and you want to follow me at 17 Degrees of D'orjay, I do offer a full moon shamanic journey every month there. It's going to be next weekend. I'll post about it. And it's just like by donation. So like if you can't afford anything, that's totally fine. If you have some extra funds to throw my way, you can. So that's just another offering that I have that's pretty accessible. If you felt that tonight resonated with any of you. It felt really beautiful on my end. I can get a pretty strong sense of folks' experiences when we're journeying in a group. And I think you all did pretty great. So, yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, D'orjay. We know how to reach you through Instagram. We know that you published some books. And who knows, maybe one day you'll get to grace us with some music too, but that's going to be another day.
Yes, absolutely. If you're interested in what a Black queer shaman's music sounds like, my album's called New Kind of Outlaw. I'm really proud of it. It's been garnering a lot of really great attention, which I'm excited for. One of my songs is gonna be on Hockey Night in Canada next weekend. And it's available everywhere. Streaming, Bandcamp is a great place to access music for artists. So yeah, New Kind of Outlaw is out there as well.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. We'll end our conversation and journey today. Thank you again so much. Thank you everyone for coming. And keep your eyes out for our next event tomorrow, How to Be an Empowered Ally. And for our event on Sunday, which is how to create boundaries as QT BIPOC, so queer, trans, Black, Indigenous people of color. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Have a great day.